My name is Nancy. I'm a 32-year-old, stay-at-home mom. My husband, Michael, is 34 and a very ordinary office worker. We've been married for 8 years, and we have a precious daughter, Lily. Our 6-year-old daughter is so adorable that both my husband and I are absolutely smitten with her. I have an older sister, Harper, who is 3 years my senior. Harper, who just turned 35, became a single mother after divorcing, due to what they called irreconcilable differences. Her son Alex is still young, only 4 years old. One day, my sister and I planned to take our kids to the zoo. Unfortunately, I came down with a cold and had to stay in bed. When I reluctantly tried to cancel, my husband offered to take the day off work and go in my place, not wanting the kids to be disappointed. Even though the kids were with them, it would be just my husband and my sister together. But who would suspect any issues between a brother-in-law and sister-in-law? Then, on another day, I was walking through the shopping district on my way back from shopping when I happened to see my husband and sister together in a cafe. I wondered why they were together. But with my daughter's after-school return time approaching, I went home despite my curiosity. That night, when I asked my husband upon his return, he nonchalantly explained, it started raining while we were chatting. So we just ducked into the cafe to wait it out, without showing any signs of being flustered. So, at the time, I believed him. But since that day, my husband began coming home late more frequently. Furthermore, he started asking for more allowance. And then, he began going out more on weekends. Whenever my sister came over, they seemed closer than before. Suspicious, isn't it? But still, I trusted them. My husband continued to dote on our daughter, and our relationship seemed just as good as ever. But maybe I was the only one who thought everything was fine. Yes, I was about to be painfully enlightened by an upcoming incident. It happened when my sister came over as usual. I've been invited on a trip by a friend. I hate to ask, but could you look after Alex for about a week, she said. For a whole week? The trip is to Hawaii, and it's difficult with Alex. But please, I've been so busy lately, I really need a break. I'll bring you back something nice, I promise. My sister pleaded with me, on her knees. I suppose she's had a tough time since the divorce. My parents and I have tried to help, but raising a child alone must be incredibly hard. So, I agreed, thinking she deserved a break. As the day of my sister's Hawaii trip approached. My business trip will keep me away for a while, my husband announced. He would be traveling to several locations, so it would take a few days. I thought it sounded tough, but I was shocked when I heard the departure date. It was the same as my sister's trip to Hawaii. Could this really be a coincidence? Is it just a coincidence that my sister's trip and my husband's business trip are on the same day? Is it just a coincidence that my husband has been spending more time looking at his phone? And is it just my imagination that he's been acting sneaky, trying to hide it from me? And when my sister comes over, is it my imagination that they touch hands casually or stand a bit too close? I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Then came the day my sister was to leave for her trip. My sister, Harper, came over early in the morning with Alex. The moment I held Alex's hand, I noticed something was off. His hand was unnaturally hot. Even without a thermometer. It was clear he had a high fever. Harper, doesn't Alex have a fever? Yeah, he started running a fever yesterday and it hasn't gone down yet. We need to take him to the hospital right away. Her son should be more important than a trip. But then Harper said something unbelievable. Then, please take care of him. What? I mean, please look after Alex for me. You can't just leave a sick child and go on a trip. I have no choice, it's been planned for a long time, and paying a cancellation fee would be silly. That's not the point, isn't Alex important to you? Of course he is, but I'm not worried since you're here. Take good care of him, okay? Wait, Harper. My pleas were in vain as Harper left. Unbelievable. How could she leave such a young child suffering from a high fever? Alex seemed really distressed, perhaps from the fever or the early journey. I hurriedly laid him down and applied a cold wet towel to his forehead. While preparing an ice pack in the freezer, my husband, Michael, woke up. Hey, it seems like Alex has a fever. Really? Harper is terrible, leaving Alex in this state to go on a trip. It can't be helped, she had it planned for a long time. It's too late to cancel now. That's not the point. Alex is suffering. If you're so concerned, you should take good care of him. Can't you do something about your business trip? If Alex has something contagious, Lily might catch it. I'll take care of Alex. So I need you to look after Lily. I thought my husband, who adores our daughter, would agree, even if reluctantly. Work is important, but our daughter is surely more so. But my expectations were dashed. What? No way, that's impossible. If you're worried, just leave him with our parents. That's not an option. My parents are busy with work, and your parents are too far to leave him with on short notice. Then there's nothing we can do. Just let Alex rest, he'll be fine. Don't be so nonchalant about it. What do you expect me to do? I can't help it. Oh, it's time, I have to go. See you later. With that, Michael left in a hurry. Left behind, I quickly called my parents. It was sudden, so they couldn't take the day off. But my mom will leave work early to pick up Lily as soon as she can. My mom said, which gave me some relief. Until my mom arrives, Lily will have to stay in her room, poor thing. Meanwhile, Alex's condition seemed to worsen. He started coughing in addition to the fever. In the afternoon, my mom, who had left work early, came to pick up Lily, so I took Alex to the pediatrician. On the way there, Alex seemed to struggle with just the motion of the car. It turned out to be just a cold, and we were advised to give him the prescribed antipyretic and watch his condition. But if his fever rises further or if he becomes delirious and in danger, I was told to call an ambulance without hesitation and sent home. Sorry, Mom, for suddenly asking you to take care of Lily out of the blue. Don't worry about it, dear. I'm more concerned about Alex. For my parents, Lily is just as precious a grandchild as Alex. My mom sounded worried over the phone, too. After hanging up, I couldn't help but call my husband's office out of curiosity. I wanted to ask where he was traveling to, just in case. The answer I got was, he should be on paid leave. I looked up to the sky. A bad feeling began to feel all too real. I opened my husband's laptop. I had never looked at his personal one before, but I immediately found out where he was headed by checking his browsing history. His destination was Hawaii. The plane tickets and hotel were all arranged by him. I recognized the name of that hotel. It was the same one my sister told me about. My sister and husband in Hawaii at the same time and at the same hotel. Such a coincidence is one in a million. The very fact that my husband, who said he was on a business trip, is in Hawaii on leave is an anomaly. Curiously, I checked my phone. I wanted to check my sister's social media. No new posts were made. But checking her recent ones. Although not clearly visible, it was apparent she was frequently with someone. The glimpses of clothing that occasionally appeared were all too familiar. My suspicion turned into conviction when I saw a photo that included a man's wristwatch. It was the one I had given to my husband. It wasn't expensive but was from a minor brand with a unique design. Another person wearing the same clothes and the same watch as my husband in my sister's photos. The likelihood of that was almost zero. Then, I found the conclusive photo. In a picture during window shopping, my sister was reflected in the glass. On the edge of that photo, another person was reflected in the glass. It was unmistakably my husband. My sister, oblivious to the fact that my husband was reflected in the glass, posted the photo. With trembling hands, I saved all the photos. There's no mistake. My sister and my husband are having an affair. Right now, they are together. Everything I had built up with my husband felt like it was crumbling all at once. I tried calling them both numerous times, but soon it went straight to voicemail. It seems they turned off their phones. Alex's fever still hasn't gone down. Watching his pained expression, anger started boiling inside me. Alex is suffering like this. And I'm in such a difficult situation. Meanwhile, my sister and husband are probably enjoying their trip to Hawaii, laughing together. Could there be a worse story? I'm shaking with anger. Thinking about what to do to them, but that's for later. First, I need to wait until Alex recovers. Even though I thought so, Alex's fever showed no sign of going down. On the contrary, it seemed to be rising even more. I was shocked when I took his temperature. 107.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Children tend to run high fevers. Lily has had fevers of 104 degrees Fahrenheit before, but never this high. Why isn't the fever reducer working? Alex was limp and seemed too weak to move without discomfort. What should I do? I desperately tried to suppress the panic rising within me due to the grave situation. I just have to call an ambulance, that's what I thought as I gripped my phone. Mommy. Alex muttered in a weak voice. He twisted his face in pain and called for his mother. I won't forgive them. I'll never forgive them. Just as I felt my vision turning red with anger, Alex's condition took a sudden turn for the worse. A week has passed since then. Contrary to my sorrow, it was a sunny day today. I stared blankly at the expansive blue sky. Tears started to spill out. I don't know how much I've cried already. Yet, my tears never seemed to dry up. Lily's hand, gripping mine, was trembling. My daughter was crying too. As I lifted her up, I could see my parents breaking down in tears over her trembling small shoulders. The other attendees, everyone was crying. Suddenly, my phone vibrated. I set Lily down and looked at the display, seeing my sister's name. Hello? Oh, Nancy? Long time no see. I just got back from Hawaii. Just arrived at the airport, and I'm about to pick up Alex. Thanks for taking care of him. It felt like a call from another world. I murmured almost to myself. He's gone to heaven. A single tear that I thought had stopped fell. Not understanding what I had said, my sister asked back in a bewildered voice from the other side of the phone. Heaven. What are you talking about? It doesn't make any sense. That's because he's gone to heaven. While you were on your trip to Hawaii. I don't understand what you mean. You'll understand if you come. The funeral is over, and we're at the crematorium now. What? Crematorium? After I told my confused sister the location of the crematorium, the call abruptly ended. Alex. My sister, who had just gotten out of the taxi, came running over with a pale face. She looked around calling his name, but Alex was nowhere to be found. Where is he? He's not here. How could he be? What do you mean? I pointed slowly towards the crematorium. Nowadays, crematoriums don't emit smoke like they used to, but that person is indeed being cremated right now. About Alex, on the day you left him with me, his fever suddenly shot up to 107.6 degrees Fahrenheit. 107.6 degrees Fahrenheit? The fever reducer we got from the pediatrician didn't work, and his condition rapidly worsened. In a panic, I called an ambulance. So, what happened to Alex? I don't want to answer that. We're in the middle of a funeral. With that, I spread my hands out, pointing towards the crematorium. Hey, what do you mean? What happened to Alex? Why are you even here? A person shouted in place of my speechless sister. That was my husband. Incredibly, he had the audacity to show up with my sister. How can you say that's not relevant right now? What about Alex? Of course, it's relevant. I shouted back, not to be outdone by my husband's voice. How dare you two go on a cheating trip, leaving your family behind? And with Alex running a fever. And you ignoring my pleas for help to go on your trip. Are you out of your minds? What are you talking about? I already know everything. When I inquired at your office, they told me you were on leave. And when I checked the computer, I found reservations for a trip to Hawaii. Staying in the same hotel with my sister, on the same plane. Do you think you can escape by calling it a coincidence? That is. I must have had an intense look on my face. Overwhelmed by my fervor, my husband lost his words. Tell me, Nancy, has Alex passed away? Do you really have the nerve to ask that right now? Why do you think we are here? Why do you think we are dressed in mourning clothes at a crematorium? Don't you get it? No. That can't be.
No.
My sister's scream dominated the scene. I looked down on my crying sister with cold eyes. You don't have the right to cry. You're the lowest of the low, abandoning your son to go on an affair trip with your sister's husband. I was lonely, all alone. So I just what? Went after your sister's husband. What do you mean, it's not my fault? I'm not to blame. The one to blame is my ex-husband for not taking my son, and not just him. It's also because our parents and you, Nancy, didn't help me take care of my son. Incredibly, my sister was now indignant. I've done nothing wrong. It's not like I wanted to have a child or become a single mother by choice. I wanted my ex-husband to take our son if we were getting a divorce, but he refused. So I've been trying my best all alone, and yet, to lose him like this. Alex. Ah. Harper. My husband was the one who embraced my crumbling sister. So they're not even trying to hide their affair anymore. Don't say such selfish things. Our parents and I have done everything we can to help. Leaving a child with a fever to go on an affair. There's no excuse for that. Not even realizing how despicable you are, you're the worst. Hey, Nancy, isn't that too harsh on your own sister? Harper is shocked from losing Alex. Shut up, you accomplice. Don't you dare act all high and mighty. Just so you know, I'm divorcing you. You better be prepared to pay for everything. What? That's a different issue altogether. It's entirely related. My husband and I shouted at each other, standing over my crying sister. This must be what they call a real mess. Then our parents came closer to us. My sister, with tears streaming down her face, blamed our parents. Dad, Mom. Alex, why didn't you take better care of Alex? Why did Alex have to? Then, a sharp slap echoed. Don't be ridiculous. It was my father who slapped my sister's cheek. Abandoning your child and then blaming others for it. But. And to think you went on a trip with your sister's husband. You shameless thing. I'm ashamed to have raised you like this. At my father's words, my sister's cries grew even louder. I felt like punching my husband too. It was then when I glared at him that I heard it. Mommy. A small boy's voice. My sister turned around abruptly. There was Alex? Alex was being held by a man. Alex. My sister stood up and ran towards them, but the man quickly moved Alex out of her reach. Hey. What are you doing, Scott? Scott, the man holding Alex. That was my sister's ex-husband. The very same person she divorced due to irreconcilable differences. That's my line. What are you doing abandoning Alex like this? That's none of your business. Alex is my son. He's my son too. You refused to give me custody, so I went along with the societal view that it's better for the mother to have it. But you never let me see him despite my repeated requests, and just as I feared, this happens. You don't deserve to be Alex's mother. Shut up. You just need to pay child support and keep quiet. I'd pay anything for Alex's sake. But you neglected him and went on your merry affair trip without a care in the world about how critical his condition was. That day, when Alex's condition suddenly worsened, I called an ambulance in a panic. While he was being treated at the hospital, I called my parents and Scott, Alex's father. Scott was shocked when I told him about my sister's affair trip with my husband. After being discharged from the hospital, Alex was recuperating at Scott's family home. Wait a minute, so Alex is safe? Then whose funeral? My confused husband stared at the crematorium and I told him. It's our grandmother's. Our grandmother, the great-grandmother of Lily and Alex, was very old, bedridden, and in the care of a nursing home. She passed away recently due to old age. Even bedridden, she was quite lucid and adored her great-grandchildren, Lily and Alex. Whenever we visited the nursing home, her wrinkled face would light up even more. We were all so grief-stricken by her sudden departure that my parents, Lily, and I couldn't stop crying. Alex didn't attend the funeral because he was recovering from his illness. But I informed Scott that we were at the crematorium, so he brought Alex, thinking he was well enough to come. You tricked us. Nobody said Alex had died. My sister glared at me accusingly, but if anyone deserved blame, it was her. I wasn't told about Grandma's death either, my sister barked back. I called you multiple times to inform you about Grandma's passing, but you kept hanging up. Since we couldn't reach either of you. And considering how kind Grandma was to you, it's unfathomable that you'd be late. Don't mess with me. Everyone's making a fool of me. Come on, Alex, we're leaving. You'd rather be with Mommy than with that man, right? Scott. Give me back Alex. Enough already. It was my father who sternly rebuked my sister as she confronted Scott. Do you still think you can keep Alex after all this? Listen, what you did could have been a criminal offense, abandonment by a person in charge. You failed as a mother. Don't ever think you can be by Alex's side again. Alex will be raised by Scott. Dad, no. We've decided to fully support Scott with legal counsel. You're no longer our daughter. Consider our ties severed. Mom. My sister's face turned pale at the severance from our parents. I stood resolutely in front of her. My husband and I are getting a divorce anyway, so why don't the two of you get along? It's not like you care about not seeing your kids. Considering you're off on overseas trips all the time, abandoning them. Upon hearing this, my husband started screaming. Wait, Nancy. It was just a moment of folly. Harper was just a fling. What's important to me is you and Lily. Then my sister burst out yelling. What do you mean, just a fling? Didn't you say you no longer loved Nancy and that I was the only one you loved? Shut up. I love my daughter. Don't mess with me. And so, the tumult between my husband and sister erupted once again. Leaving the bickering sister and husband behind, we left the scene with our grandmother's ashes. After that, despite the turmoil, things finally settled down when I hired a lawyer for mediation. Alex went to live with his father. I thought he would be sad to be away from his mother, but he seemed rather pleased. It appears my sister was not functioning as a mother at all. My husband and I also had our disputes, or rather, my husband was being stubborn. But he was scolded by both our parents and was feeling down when the decisive blow came from our daughter's comment, "I don't need daddy." Even at 6 years old, girls can be quite precocious. She must have understood her father's despicable actions in her own way. I couldn't help but laugh when she looked at my husband with contempt. No punishment could be more severe for my husband, who doted on his daughter, or rather, ex-husband. She has the right to see him, but it's up to her whether she wants to or not. Thus, the dramatic saga came to an end. Lily and I returned to our family home and are living peacefully. My parents are thrilled to be living with Lily. With Lily starting elementary school next year, we are all excited about her school preparations. I plan to start working when she begins school. Alex occasionally visits with Scott. His face is unrecognizably bright and full of smiles now. By the way, behind our happy life, it seems my sister and ex-husband quickly ended their relationship. For my ex-husband, it was really just a fling. Perhaps shocked at being disliked by his daughter, he quickly abandoned my sister. However, his despicable act of having an affair with his wife's sister became known at work. And he was deemed to have a character issue and was sent to a regional office. This will make it even harder for him to see his daughter. Serves him right. As for my sister, it seems she led a life like an empty shell for a while, out of desperation from being abandoned by everyone. Eventually, she went missing. We've filed a missing person report, but I have a feeling we might never find her. Such a premonition struck me.